Good morning. We'll call the committee to order and note for the record that we do have a quorum present. First order of business is approval of the minutes from Monday, May 13th. Vice Chair Hollins, would you care to move the minutes?
I've reviewed the minutes and I move their approval.
Thank you for your thorough attention. Any discussion to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are adopted. Next order of business is the calendar for the day for Friday, May 17th. We are proposing, what's that? Oh, should we come back to it?
Yes.
Okay, we will come back to that. Okay, we will come back to item 3. So next item is 2024 R24A, Resolution on Facilities. If I could ask our Sergeant-at-Arms, Lori Hodap, to come forward. And I will move that 2024 R24A, Resolution on Facilities, be recommended to the House of Representatives for adoption. If you could please introduce yourself for the record and explain the resolution.
Thank you. I'm Lori Hodap, the Chief Sergeant at Arms. Thank you and good morning, Chair Long and all of the committee members. I'm presenting the resolution on facilities, 2024 R24A. The only change that you will see on this, obviously, is the date, and then lines 14, 15, and 16, which have been added to this particular resolution. It is that facilities in the Capitol complex accessed and utilized by the House of Representatives pursuant to agreements with the Department of Administration or the Minnesota Senate shall be maintained in accordance with those agreements. And this is in regards to after we leave the state office building and we are moving to the Capitol, as those spaces are determined for your committee meetings and such for next year and the following year while we are in the renovation stage, we will maintain and manage those spaces as well as they are designated.
Thank you for the explanation. Any discussion to the resolution? Representative Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So first of all, this room is full of diesel fumes again. But to this resolution, so since nothing at the state office building where we have multiple hearing rooms, 4 main hearing rooms are all going to move to the Capitol, it's interesting that we're doing that because is that okay if I see her? Representative Mueller and I had looked at like how do we do that over there, and I'm wondering what space we're using in the Capitol building itself to accomplish that. I didn't know there was space.
The spaces will be determined, excuse me, may I answer the question?
Yes, please.
Chair Long. Sorry. The spaces will be designated by leadership and through Speaker Portman and with a contract with the Senate and with the Department of Administration. And I don't know if you have a copy of that resolution or that contract available at this time, but they will be working with that to determine exactly what those rooms are. But the Senate has agreed to accommodate us.
And just to note, there are several hearing rooms that the Senate currently does not use in the Capitol. They use their hearing rooms that are in the Senate office building. Follow-up, Representative Barrett?
Sure. I'm just wondering if you happen to know which spaces that would be, because I know that, so like in 120 where we normally meet in the Capitol, they have a like hearing room across where they they still meet in there. You know, they do their rules committees and other things in there, but do they have 4 other hearing rooms that we can use so that we have, you know, we've got 4 main hearing rooms in this building that we use. I'm just wondering, are there 4 Senate hearing rooms that we can use over there?
So there are 4, the Senate has 4 hearing rooms in the Capitol, and they only currently use 1 routinely as they're scheduling for hearings. Their other 3 are ones that are in the Senate office building. So those are the discussions to use the other 3 that they are not currently regularly scheduling in. Further questions, Representative Barrett?
No, I just want to make sure because I know that when we looked at doing some moving of things and making sure that we could do hybrid and things like that, we looked through the whole Capitol building to try to figure out what to do. So it's interesting that we've gotten coordination from the Senate. That's nice that they are helping. So that's always a good thing. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious if there's a number of youth activities that occur in the interim. Are they impacted by the closure of this building, and how do we accommodate their needs?
Ms. Hodap, any Any awareness, or I can answer to the best of my ability?
I do have a bit of awareness,
Okay.
Chair Long. Representative Torkelson, they will be slightly impacted, but they have been preparing that for the last 2 years, recognizing that this may occur. And so on their first year coming up, there'll still be some activity here at the Capitol, but they also have different settings available, which they'll coordinate through the Youth and Government. And I believe some of that will occur in the hotel that they reserve and stay at. So various places, but they are prepared for that.
Follow-up, Representative
Well,
Torkelson?
thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that. So does that mean they have extra expenses that they would ordinarily not have to incur?
Ms. Hodak?
Chair Long, Representative Torkelson, I am not aware of what their expenses will be.
Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, I will renew my motion on the 2024 R24A. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. You can stay where you are, Ms. Hodak. We have the resolution on parking next, 2024 R25A. If you could explain that resolution to us, please.
I will. This is the same resolution that we've dealt with prior, with the addition of course, the dates. There is one change on line 6. We will retain the use of parking lot N. Obviously, parking lot D no longer exists. If you've looked out your windows, you'll see that that is no longer in existence. So we will retain the use of parking lot N and the state office building parking ramp. But we've added lines 13, 14, and 15, that parking in the Capitol complex accessed and utilized by the House of Representatives pursuant to agreements with the Department of Administration shall be maintained in accordance with those agreements. And with that, we are working with the Department of Administration, and our sergeant's office will continue to manage the parking for all the representatives and the staff that we have working within the House of Representatives. It's just that it won't take place in the state office building ramp during the duration of the renovation.
Any discussion to the resolution? Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As of today, at least, we have not been assigned new parking places. Those of us that maintain parking through the interim, is there any indication of when those assignments will be made?
I actually have
Ms. Hodak.
the, Chair Long, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Representative Torkelson, those assignments are in the process of being made. Today, we will be meeting to discuss more detail in regards to that. But as I stated in the last update, we intend to make those parking assignments May 20th. And we will make sure that we let you know where those parking assignments will be, based on your survey results.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll renew my motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have the 2024 R26. I move that the 2024 R26 resolution on the House Journal be recommended to the House of Representatives for adoption. So this is a standard resolution, members, that allows the chief clerk to correct and approve the Journal of the House for the last day of session and to include any proceedings that happen following the last day. Any discussion to the resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Next resolution before us is the 2024 P4D. If we could have our new controller and CFO come on down, and if you could introduce yourself for the record and proceed with explaining the resolution.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Pete Skora. I serve as the Controller and CFO of the Minnesota House of Representatives. It's good to be with you here this morning. Before you is the P4D resolution. The resolution allows members to claim per diems during the interim. There are 2 changes to the existing resolution. Number 1, it raises the additional limit of 15 per diems to a total of 20. The second change is that the existing language is specific to legislative business within the Capitol. This resolution expands that to legislative business within a member's district. And with that, that is the resolution, and I'll stand for questions.
Great. And I'll just note the intent behind the resolution. So we had a number of members from Greater Minnesota in particular express some concern about the unfairness of allowing for per diems for work that was done in the state capitol building, but not done in their own legislative district. and pointing out that if you had the same meeting at the Capitol, or in your district, it could be claimed if it was in the Capitol but not in district. And so that certainly presents an unfairness for members who don't live in the areas near the Capitol building. We also had about a quarter of our members reached or were very near the 15-day per diem limit last year. And so in order to try to accommodate those who are having more than 15 days in the upcoming interim, wanted to give a little bit more of a cushion for those members. Wouldn't be very many, given what we saw with our historic usage of the per diems, but for those who are working more than 15 days, wanted to try to provide some additional fairness for them. So that is the context. Representative Torkelson. Oh, excuse me, that was crossed off. Representative Robbins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the concern for members who live outside the capital area, but I just would like to ask how much money this is going to cost, and this is a resolution, so we're not appropriating the money, so where's the money coming from?
Do we have estimates?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members. The estimate is a simple calculation of 134 members times 5 days, 5 additional days, at the maximum of $86. So the maximum increase of cost would be just under $58,000. Where we would find the dollars, we do have some salary savings accrued in fiscal '24. These costs would be impacting fiscal '25, which starts on July 1st of 2024.
So the maximum would be 58, and that would be if every single member took it. And that's, also generous because we have members who live in the metro area who can claim it at the Capitol if they are working at the Capitol, and those would not be impacted. But so the maximum impact would be 58, but certainly would likely be far lower than that. Representative Robbins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to clarify, you said for members who live near the Capitol, they would claim it if they were at the Capitol, but it's for everyone. So if you're a Metro member doing business in your district, you could also claim it, correct?
Correct, Representative Robbins. I'm just pointing out that Metro members right now have the ability to come to the Capitol and claim per diem, and that's not something that every member has. If you're taking a constituent meeting at the Capitol versus if you're in Greater Minnesota, then those per diems are easier for members in the Metro to be able to attain. Representative Robbins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So will this come out of the House's budget?
Perhaps our controller could answer that.
Mr. Chair, members, yes.
Representative Robbins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Representative Demuth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Squara, for being here. Appreciate the information. One question, if the per diem is going to be given when the meetings are not at the Capitol, will there be any type of additional documentation to verify whether or not those were true legislative official business work since it's not taking place here?
Mr. Chair, Representative Demuth, we are working on the forms now. It's very similar to what we fill out now or what you fill out now for per diems. So it is your word that you have conducted legislative business. We will be tracking what's in district and what's at the Capitol. So we'll have that information with the forms that we provide.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Representative Hewitt.
Mr. Chair, this may be a question for our testifier. Does this affect committee work at all? Oh, sorry.
Where are you going?
I was talking to myself. I don't know. Not unbelievable. Mr. Chair, and to the testifier, does this affect the committee work? As that's the question that always comes up if we have to take our extra per diem, or when you're on committee, the committee takes care of that?
I can answer that. So the answer is no. The committee work would be counted separately. These are for individual member work that would not be covered by a committee budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome, Representative Hewitt. Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is this change in any way a result of the closure of this building?
No, Representative Torkelson. This concern was brought to us by a number of Greater Minnesota members who pointed out, I think correctly, the unfairness that you can use the Capitol for your district office if you're a St. Paul member, but not if you're a Greater Minnesota member.
Well, I just find the timing interesting, Mr. Chair.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will renew my motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
The motion prevails. And next, we will come back to the calendar for the day. Item 3, House File 4746, is the proposal for Friday, May 17th. I move the adoption of the calendar for the day pursuant to Rules 1.21 and 3.33. The Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration will designate Friday, May 17th for the adoption of the calendar for the day and establish a pre-filing requirement for amendments offered to those bills. Discussion to the calendar for the day. Representative Engen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I saw last week that a quote-unquote agreement was made. Apparently, that agreement was only a one-sided one with Democrats. TNC companies such as Uber and Lyft had still said that they had intended on not operating in the state of Minnesota if that agreement would have passed. Does this language in House File 4746 continue to reflect that same quote-unquote agreement, or is it different now?
Representative Engen, the language that is in the bill is the same as what passed out of its last committee stop in Ways and Means. We'll bring it to the floor. Of course, there will be the ability for any member to offer amendments. Representative Engen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If the bill does pass as it currently stands, do we expect Uber and Lyft to continue operating in the state or not?
Representative Engen, you can certainly ask the companies their opinion on that. Representative Engen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have you had any conversations or communications with those companies, or is that kind of being put to the side?
Representative Engen, there are certainly conversations that are ongoing, and we are at that stage of session where we're all trying to get to deals that we can pass and enact. Representative Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, I've done my share of negotiating at the last minute. It's not anything new, but typically something doesn't get calendared until there's actually an agreement. And obviously there isn't, because Uber and Lyft have said if this goes forward, they're going to leave not just Minneapolis, but the entire state. So my question is, do we actually have something that is an agreement so that we feel good about putting it on the floor? Because it would kind of be fruitless if we actually brought this to the floor and the net result would be they left the entire state. So it would be helpful to know whether or not this is actually a timely calendar for the day, or are we doing this before a real deal is struck?
Well, Representative Rarick, it certainly is timely. We have just a few days left in session, and so we do need to move forward. This is an important issue. The question is, how are the network companies going to respond? Certainly you can answer that with discussions with them. I believe that the network companies would stay at the rates. These are rates that the network companies are operating in other jurisdictions in the country. But we can certainly have that discussion on the floor. Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to switch topics. So as I gaze out my newly less obstructed windows, because I've been packing up all the stuff that was in the way, I continue to see even more extensive archaeological work going on in the building site. I've had some requests in to get information as to how long this work is going to take and how much it's going to impact the potential completion of the project, and I've gotten no answers lately. I'm wondering if you have some information, or if you can point me to the source where I can get the most up-to-date estimate of how much more expensive this project is getting.
Representative Torkelson, I'll be happy to come back to you after we finish the calendar for the day, but that's the business we're on at the moment. Any discussion of the calendar for the day? No. Okay. Representative Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just wanted to follow up, because you said it's your belief that they will not leave, but we can believe whatever we want. But the fact is, do we have something from them in writing or whatever you want to say, even a handshake deal that said, this is the deal and we will not leave? I mean, this is a really, really significant thing. This is not small. This will affect the entire state now. It was going to be just Minneapolis, maybe bleed over to St. Paul, but now it's the whole state. And there are so many people that use Uber Lyft, that depend on Uber Lyft all over the state. So this is not a small thing, and I hope that we're not doing this on hopes and dreams and wishes and beliefs, but actual agreements. And so my question still stands, do we have an agreement Because short of that, we should not be calendaring this unless this is some sort of tactic to get them to the table. I don't really know, but we shouldn't be calendaring this until we actually have a path forward to resolve this for all of Minnesota, Mr. Chair. So my question again is, do we actually have an agreement? Because that's how you do legislation, to make sure all the stakeholders are there and they all agree, right? This isn't new. Do we have an agreement from Uber Lyft that this is what they would agree to? I don't care if it comes with a floor amendment. It doesn't have to be this bill, but do we have something to move forward? Because I'm not willing to calendar this until we do.
Well, Representative Eric, you can certainly vote against the calendaring. What I will say is that we have very little time left, and we need to move discussions forward. This is certainly a way to make sure that we are able to move the bill. There's lots of time between now and Friday. But what I will say is that we certainly don't, when we're passing legislation, take always at face value what a self-interested company is saying that they will operate under or not. If I were the companies, I would say, I'm not operating unless it's a penny and 2 pennies, right? They have a lot of incentive to try to drive the rate down, and we are trying to do what is fair for drivers. We know that based on the studies that came back from the Department of Labor and Industry, that drivers are not compensated at our state or local minimum wages, and that's what we are trying to do, is make sure that we are striking a balance, that we are compensating drivers at a rate that the companies can fairly operate at.
Mr. Chair.
Representative Barrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm not going to relitigate because this isn't the proper committee, but since you referenced that, that report that went to DEED is incredibly complex, and it all depends on which data you want to pull. I'm not going to relitigate that, but I'm just, for the record, saying that is not completely accurate. And we had a very thorough discussion in Ways and Means about this, and in particular, Representative Garofalo went into that report, and it just depends on how you look at it and how you calculated it. So I don't know that that's accurate either, but again, I'm not willing to calendar this, and I'll be voting no, because it doesn't sound like we have a global agreement. Unless we have an agreement with them, this is a fruitless thing. So we have more days. It doesn't have to be calendared for Friday. It could be Saturday. It could be Sunday. We are still here, so we have time, as you say, and you say there's time between now and Friday. There certainly is. So why don't we just put this to the side and wait until we actually have a global agreement and then calendar it? We have plenty of time. This is nothing new. I've been here 12 years. This happens, but I'm not willing to calendar this until we actually have an agreement, because it seems pretty fruitless otherwise.
Representative Engen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just remind the Democrat majority here, there's 104 of you guys, there's 97 of us. This is a Democrat-created crisis. We can help you fix it, but we would like to be involved in those discussions. If you continue to work with the Minneapolis City Council over your colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle, these sorts of questions will continue. And we have a bill that's coming apparently on Friday, according to this calendar. We don't even know what the basis for it is. We don't know what's been discussed on the side. So I would just ask that you guys work alongside us rather than keep us away from the table, because doing so will continue to shove companies like Uber and Lyft, self-interested as they may be, away from the state because of self-interested Democrats. Thank you.
Well, a good way to be involved in the conversation is to get this bill to the floor so that you can bring amendments and we can debate them. Also would be helpful if we are able to get to the bills and not have filibusters on the floor. With that, members, I will renew my
Excuse me.
motion. Representative Dameth.
Mr. Chair, the work that the House Republicans have been doing on the floor is well-founded. It is well-founded. We have concerns when we are not given a spot on conference committees and our voice is shut out. The thing that we have is our voice, and we will use that as appropriate. We know the majority has the full ability to calendar what needs to be calendared and to work their way through. That is a work that the House Republicans will continue to do over the next 4 days as we work through to bring this session to a close. We appreciate being included in conference committees and in discussions where we do actually have a vote, and we will continue doing that work. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Leader Dameth. It wasn't my word, it was Senator Mark Johnson's. With that, I will
Excuse me,
renew.
Mr. Chair,
Leader Dameth.
I believe I just heard that from you, Mr. Chair, here in the Ways Committee. And I believe that was your word. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I renew my motion to adopt the calendar for the day for Friday, May 17th. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Oppose?
No.
The calendar for the day is adopted. Representative Torkelson, I promised I would come back to you after the calendar for the day.
I think you heard my question, Mr. Chair. I won't repeat it.
Okay. I don't have any new information at this time, but happy to connect you with the Department of Administration.
All right, I will contact them again, Mr. Chair.
Representative Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we came into this room in the basement of the State Office building, and it was, again, filled with diesel fumes. And I was told as we walked down that, oh, there were 2 trucks, once again, in front of their air intakes, and they were told to turn off their engines. So again, even after we had MnOSHA here 2 or 3 times, even after we've had charcoal filters added to the air intake, even after all of these mitigation measures, today we still have diesel smoke and fumes in this room. This is still not remedied. It's still not fixed. Thank goodness we're going to be leaving soon. But I'm going to tell you right now, every time I speak on this mic, there are members of the public that have come to me and said things like, I spent whatever many hours in the State Office building, and I went home and I was throwing up all night. I went home and I had a migraine. Again, literally just today, after all of these remedies have happened, we are still sitting in diesel fumes in this very room at this very moment. I don't know what else we can do to remedy this. I'm sure I've got staff members on the second floor. They're going to tell me as soon as I get up there that their headaches have returned, that their brain fog has returned, that we're trying to get the work of the people done, and we're sitting in diesel fumes again, because those trucks are still sitting in front of the air intakes. Why they're allowed to sit there, I have no idea. Can't they just put a pause on it till we get out of here? I'll be making another call to MnOSHA today and let them know exactly what's happened yet again. Mr. Chair, this isn't politics. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't hysteria. These are real people's healths, real people's lives. And I frankly have had enough. And coming down to this hearing room in the basement and literally descending down the ramp and getting to the point where all of the diesel fumes have accumulated, where we're all sitting in them yet again, is unacceptable, Mr. Chair. I don't know what else to do or what else to say. Again, all we have is our voice. But there are a lot of people watching and listening to this that have come to me and said, I was sick too. I've had migraines, I've had cough that they can't clear. We've got 2 women that are pregnant, I've said this over and over again, on our floor, that are very worried about their unborn children. I don't know what else I can say, and it still is happening. Whatever mitigation's happening, it's not working, Mr. Chair.
Well, Representative Rarick, I know that these concerns have been taken very seriously by the sergeant's office. They are doing daily monitoring on floors as well. And as you mentioned, they have installed charcoal filters. MnOSHA's been out here twice. They have reported no health concerns based on the monitoring that they've done. But the concerns are, I think, being taken very seriously. And I know that the sergeant's office is very responsive to individual incidents that are happening and trying to make sure that those are taken care of. So I appreciate you continuing to raise these concerns, and I appreciate the work of our staff in taking them seriously too. Members, that's our business, and we are adjourned.